soul.
This is Bass Talk Live. Your host, Mark Jeffries and Matt Pangrack. BTL is brought to you by Lowrance, Lose, Strike King Lures, Bass Cat Boats, Ducket Fishing, Spro, AFCO, Big Bite Baits, Sunline, and TH Marine. BTL coming at you. Good Thursday, everybody. Welcome once again to BTL Bass Talk Live, where we're going to talk bass fishing and anything else that we want to talk about. Yes, our special guest in studio today, Bradley Hallman. Bradley, how you doing, man?
I'm doing wonderful, man. This place has changed since I was in here last.
Yeah, it's kind of a little bit of an upgrade, man. A little bit.
Looks very nice.
Just a tad. All right, great show today. We have all kinds of announcements to make, but probably the most important announcement is we are going to announce the winner, aren't we, Bradley?
That's right. It's coming today.
So all those names, almost 1,500 entries in this thing.
48 pages.
That's crazy.
48 pages.
Hey, I said it yesterday, man. The BTL Fans, greatest on the web, no doubt about it, and some very, very creative names.
Dude, it was insane, some of the names that we had.
Hey, we'll go over some of those.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Good show today. Also, with all that going on, we're going to have Stephen Browning on. And when I was perusing through the 2010 media guide, I ran across Stephen. And in this media guide, as I have mentioned in previous shows, they had a section on there that said, "Did you know?" And there was a "Did you know?" section about Stephen Browning that says, Browning was a volunteer at the 1984 Bassmaster Classic. His job was chauffeuring around BASS founder Ray Scott to the launch ramp each morning. So I thought, man, what a cool thing to get him on and talk about what those days were like, taking Ray Scott to the launch ramp and anything else that took place while Stephen was just basically in charge of moving the founder of Bass around during the Bassmaster Classic. So we'll talk to him about that. All right, a couple of housekeeping items real quick. On yesterday's show, I asked for 4 volunteer emails. I got 4 in a hurry. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be reaching out to those people today. I didn't have time to do it yesterday, but I will try and make contact with you and kind of talk to you about this little project that we're going to get started hopefully very, very soon. The target date for this new little project is June 1st. So I'm hoping that by June 1st we can get this thing rolling and it will add a little entertainment, all right, a little value for the fans, and really kind of do something that nobody has really tried to do on the internet from a digital perspective. So very excited about that. All right, the next thing, and Brad, I'm going to talk about this on Monday, but I want to mention it. I got probably one of the coolest gifts from a guy by the name of John Carpenter. Not the director, all right? Does the name ring a bell? John Carpenter. Does that name ring a bell? All right, he's a big-time Hollywood director, but it's not him.
Okay.
And you remember the movie Escape from New York?
Yes.
He was the director for that and came out with a bunch of movies, John Carpenter. Not the John Carpenter. This dude was a graduate of Cornell University.
Really?
And he noticed that I have been wearing my favorite hat. I mean, I am wearing this thing out, the Cornell hockey hat out. And he said, in the note that he sent me with what he sent me 3 new Cornell hockey hats.
Really?
Now, how the dude got my address, I guess if you search out there that you can get it. I don't recall sending my address to him. I would recognize that name because I was a huge, huge fan of that movie, Escape from New York. But the dude sent me 3 new hats. And in the note there, he mentioned, hey, I just wanted to send you something for your victory over Matthew. Awesome. So it was like a gift because I actually beat math, but for him to take time out and to track me down and send me 3 Cornell hockey hats, dude, major props to John Carpenter. And I'm going to be reaching out to John and thanking him personally. But that is very, very cool. Now, the second thing that I got yesterday, we had Zell Rowland on. And one of the big topics on the Zell Rowland show was the 3-hook spook. Mm-hmm. So I get an email yesterday from somebody that found not the Zell Rowland 3-hook spook, but the Jimmy Houston 3-hook spook, which is just as good. It's just a little bit bigger. Mm-hmm. Dude's going to send them to me.
Really?
Going to send them to me,
it's like
man.
Christmas around here for you.
It was unbelievable. I was so fired up because he sent pictures of them. And they're still in the packaging, and it's you can't find them anywhere. No. And he said that they were in the bargain bin.
Wow,
that's a bargain right there.
Yeah.
All right, and then we had yesterday we had Byron Velvick on, and I am still in the negotiation process. I don't know if you listened or saw that one. He's got a Michael Jordan signed jersey.
Wow.
And what do I have up there? That's my Larry Bird jersey.
Yep.
How good would it look for Michael
to be right next to him?
Yeah. So I'm working on it. We're trying to negotiate a price here, and it's becoming more and more difficult, but I want that jersey. But I have a limit on how much I'm going to pay for it. So we'll see. Anyway. And then along with the announcement, after we have Steven on, we're going to call the guy that won, correct?
Yep.
Then the other thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about what I've been talking about for a week and a half now, about the kind of the payback, the appreciation contest that we're going to have for the fans. We're going to give away well over $5,000 in Lose and Strike King and all kinds of. I got a B&W hitch. I've got 4 pairs of Wiley X sunglasses, valued at like $200 a piece. That we're going to do. These companies stepped up big time for us doing the extra shows, and we're going to give back to the fans because, as I have said numerous times, these are the best fans on the web, especially on iTunes and all the downloads that we're having on iTunes. Folks, Matt and I are very, very appreciative, so we're going to give back with this little contest that I came up with the help of MLF. They supplied the highlights that we're going to use on this thing, and I'll explain that at the end of the show. So this show might go a little long, but let's get back to the process, Bradley. How fun was this process to put this contest together and obviously come up with the bait? It
was a lot of fun. The bait with the color contest is really what's been a whole lot of fun. Just the response that we got from the fan base, of BTL has been extraordinary. Like I said, guys, there's like 45 pages of entries. We were 25 short of 1,500. So it was a lot to go through. There's some really, really interesting names, and we'll get to all that this afternoon here in a little bit after we talk to Steven. But definitely some honorable mentions that we want to go over and cover.
All right. Do want to mention Matt is not here because he's actually practicing. And here in Oklahoma, probably the first big event since everything went lockdown on Lake Eufaula, and from an Oklahoma standpoint, Bradley, there are some big names fishing this thing.
Yeah, I think everybody's involved. I actually talked to the grasshopper this morning. He was on his way to Eufaula.
Really?
Yep. He was out of his truck moving a turtle out of the way. Yep, he moved a turtle. He stopped on the road and moved a turtle out of the highway on his way to Eufaula.
That's his good deed. That's probably going to get him the W right there. Right. Things like that happen, man.
That's his omen.
That's how he rolls. He once did an essay in high school on a cicada or something like that. That's what
grasshopper.
That's how he came up with the whole. He was like the young Marlon Perkins. Do you remember Marlon Perkins?
No.
Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom. I bet Stephen Browning remembers Marlon Perkins. I'm sure some of our older listeners out there remember Marlon Perkins. Dude, that was the thing to watch on Sundays.
No, that must have been before my time.
It was after the outdoor block on TNN. Then you flipped it over, and Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom was on.
Yeah, no.
With Marlon Perkins. Oh, that was such a great show. They don't make those shows like that anymore. So, big event taking place this weekend. Kind of a weird format, too. They're having a tournament on Saturday and then a tournament on Sunday to try and and catch up with some of the tournaments, obviously, they missed.
There's going to be a lot of that nationwide, from pro circuits all the way down. You're going to see a lot of back-to-backs, things that are, where they're stacked Saturdays, Sundays. Yep.
Yeah.
Still trying to get the numbers in,
Yeah. Yeah. All right, man. Well, let's do this. Let's take a break, and then we're going to come back with Stephen Browning. Can't wait to hear about the story of the 1984
Classic.
84 Bassmaster Classic. All right, everybody stay tuned. We'll be right back.
The ultimate fishing system starts with Lowrance HDS Live. Upgrade to HDS Live with a Ghost trolling motor, live sight transducer, or Structure Scan 3D, and get up to $500 cash back.
Yeah, you care about gear ratios, inches per turn, and ball bearings, but most importantly, you want reliability and dependability in the equipment you use. Luz doesn't cut corners when it comes to the gear they build. The new Speed Spool LFS is the best $99 reel in the market. Go see for yourself.
We've paired one of the most iconic hulls in the history of bass boats with a proven lineup of trusted accessories. We're bringing you best-in-class value and performance, leaving others in your wake. Turnkey value, turnkey performance. The Pantera 2 is an overachiever in the 19-foot category. Once you hit the throttle, you'll feel the rush, and there's no looking back.
Kevin, what are you doing here?
Oh, I'm just filling in for Billy.
I need 660 shad crankbaits in the Series 5 model.
We're out.
You're not out. You got all kinds of them right there.
We're out.
Kevin, I need 6.
Have a lollipop.
I do not want a lollipop.
Have a lollipop.
Do you have it in sexy shad color?
At Duckett Fishing, we have assembled the top pros in the country to help us design rods to give you a competitive advantage. Castability, strength, durability, action, sensitivity, weight and balance, and consistency. Combine that with the best warranty in the industry, and you have rods that are pro-driven.
Duckett Fishing, pro-driven.
You've been waiting all week for this, and Sunline wants to make sure you're ready for it with bulk spools of all your favorite fishing lines.
That's so fun.
My whole team ready. Big trips, big things we want. Bulk up with Sunline.
All right, we are back closing out the week here on a Thursday, and I want to remind everybody next week, another jam-packed week. Let's see here, where's my notes at? All right, Monday, Roy Hawk. Tuesday, Kevin Worth. Bradley.
Worth?
Tracked him down. He's thinking about getting back in the game, man.
The original Smoke on the Water.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
So we're going to talk to Kevin Worth on Tuesday. Wednesday, Edwin Evers. And his little adventure on YouTube, it's amazing.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, the E, yeah.
Unbelievable. What is it? Project E, I think is what it's called. But the production on that show.
Very well done.
It's like a Hollywood production, man.
It is.
It's crazy how good it is.
Yeah.
And then on Thursday, we're going to have Davey Hyde on. Talk a little bit about the remaining schedule and just his thoughts on everything going down. So another jam-packed week next week right here on BTL. All right, it is time to go to our special guest, and I can't wait to hear some of the stories. And we'll get his take on the break and just, the remaining schedule on the MLF side, and then we'll jump into what has got to be just a classic memory for Stephen Browning driving around Ray Scott at the 84 Classic. All right, let's bring him in. Stephen, you there, man?
I'm here. Good morning, man.
How are you, Stephen?
I'm doing well. All
right, let me get your shot queued up here to where everybody can see you. All right, there you go. Man, thank you so much for taking time out to come on BTL and share this story that we ran across from that media guide from 10 years ago. And I don't know how many people that you've talked to about this, but I can't wait to get into it. For now, I want to know your thoughts on everything from a scheduling standpoint. You know, what are your thoughts on what you guys have left? And I'm curious, are you going to fish the other tournaments that you guys have an opportunity to fish? So what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I did sign up for the 3 FLW Super tournaments, and just simply more than anything is just to kind of stay in tune and stay competitive. I think for those that choose not to and lose there's a chance you could lose a little bit of that competitiveness that you have deep inside. So I am going to fish those last or those extra 3 events, and there a couple of them I was really excited about, especially Detroit and then La Crosse, Wisconsin. So I'm kind of looking forward to those 2. Chickamauga, I'm not a ledge guy, but we'll make it work somehow on that one. And with the shortened season that we have on the Bass Pro Tour, it just kind of gives me an extra few tournaments and really more for the exposure for my sponsors. I mean, we're kind of getting the hammer put down on us right now. We're just trying to figure out how to make it work for all of us.
All right, 80 anglers. If you talk to any of your counterparts, any of the other anglers, what is your feel for the number of guys that are going to go ahead and fish those extra opportunity tournaments that they have?
From what I'm hearing, it seems like it's about 50-50. I would guess that there's probably going to be 50 guys. The deal is once you start rescheduling and things of that nature, I mean, sometimes it just doesn't fit in, so to speak, and sometimes you try to make it fit in, but it just doesn't fit into your plans. So, I foresee them having, a 200-man field. It's been, gosh, I don't know how long it's been since I fished a 200-man field of anything. Probably a high school tournament, as a captain.
Wow.
So, that's what's going to be the biggest challenge, I guess. I'm a guy that, I don't like to fish around anybody. I really don't. And I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just that the way I like to fish is go into an area and just get all you can get out of that area and change areas the next day. But 200 guys out there, it's going to be a challenge to find some clean water and fresh fish for sure.
So what have you done during this break to stay sharp? You talk about, hey, it's necessary for you to stay sharp. You guys have had a long break. What have you done?
Well, the fun part about this whole break is that I've actually had more time to fish around the house with my son during the peak fishing season in Arkansas. I guess that's probably what we've done the most. He goes fishing literally every day. And he's 18, he just graduated high school, headed to Drury University up in Springfield, Missouri, and he fishes every day practically. And I get a chance to tag along, so we've had a lot of fun times. He caught I think a 12.5 this year.
Wow.
And an 8.5 he caught just the other day in both of those trips that I was with him. So I've been able to experience a lot of good fishing trips with him that I would have never gotten to experience, had we been on the road.
That's cool. How did they do graduation? Was it a drive-through graduation?
It's going to be a virtual deal. They're going to do it on a virtual computer type, graduation, and it's here in the next few days.
Wow. I know the high school that I taught at, it was actually, the ceremony was actually featured on the ABC News because, they did a drive-through graduation.
Wow.
It was kind of cool how they came up and got creative to do that.
Right. Well, the whole world's doing just like bass fishing. I mean, we're trying anything and everything to make things work, and that's just the way it is right now.
Was there any part of the game that you worked on? I know it's very kind of pattern and bait specific this time of the year, but was there anything that you did during the break to kind of tune in your game?
Probably the thing that I did the most was work on my bed fishing. I'm not a big bed fisherman. And, the thing about it is like the only time that you ever have an opportunity to bed fish for me, having so many tournaments during the spring, is it's during that event, and you don't really get an opportunity to experiment and all that, with bait selections and angles and things of that nature. So it kind of gave me an opportunity to kind of touch up on bed fishing. And, now granted, it probably won't come into play this year, but potentially next year or years to come for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I had no idea. I would have never thought that your sight fishing game was not that good.
Well, Mark, when you're 54 years old and your eyes don't work as well as they did.
I know, man. I've been there. It was funny. During the break, folks, we were actually talking about Marlon Perkins and Mutual of Omaha. I mean, Steven knew who he was, and he watched it. And back in the old wrestling days, when it was on TBS and all that stuff. So, man, believe me, I know what it's like to be 54. I passed that a few years ago, dude. All right, let's get into really the core reason why I wanted to get you on the show. Right here in my hands is the 2010 Bassmaster Media Guide for the Elite Series. And in this particular version, they had a section for each angler called Did You Know? And in the Did You Know section for Stephen Browning, it says, Browning was a volunteer at the 1984 Bassmaster Classic. His job was chauffeuring around BASS founder Ray Scott to the launch ramp each morning. Dude, we got to hear some of the stories that you have. You were what, 17 then?
I was 18 years old. Had just graduated high school, and a buddy of mine it was in Pine Bluff, Arkansas. A good friend of mine came to me and said, "Look, man, they're looking for volunteers for the Classic to help the guys out, shuttle them back and forth from the convention center out to the river." And I was like, "Man, how do I get in?" So I had to join the Kiwanis Club. So, long story short, I was able to, to become one of the 15 volunteers that carried all the guys out to the ramp every morning, dumped them in. They fished, practice days, whatever, tournament days, and then I went back out that afternoon to pick them up. So, just like today, they give them 1 day practice. So the day of practice, the afternoon, now we're driving around in these little S10 Blazers, and that's old school.
Oh, yeah.
Some people may remember those. So I'm going out to pick one of my anglers up that afternoon, and a guy pulls out in front of me, and I mean, there was nothing I can do. I mean, just T-boned him.
Oh, geez.
Oh yeah, I have a trailer. Luckily, I didn't have a boat behind me and another angler,
Yeah.
or one of the others. And so there goes one of our tow vehicles.
And you're 18 years old.
18 years old. 18 years old. So I'm out there, freaking out. I've wrecked a classic tow vehicle. And, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? There goes my whole week, I'm like, dang, I'm like, here it is. I'm not going to be able to do anything the rest of the week because I don't have a vehicle. So we're sitting around. I guess they have the off day, and we have a big powwow every day. And the guy came up to him and he goes, "Look, we're going to put you with Ray Scott in the morning. Now, Ray was the first boat that was put in every morning, and he led the parade. I mean, the police came and his Suburban. Now, he had a big Suburban.
No S10.
So he, was the first man behind the police escort out to the ramps every morning. Well, they go, look, you're going to ride with Ray. You're going to back him in, and then you're going to come back to the convention center and get you another angler. So it was Ray Scott, Harold Sharp, Pooley Dawson. There was another gentleman that helped Pooley, and if I'm not mistaken, it was Ray Scott, Forrest Wood as well, because Forrest and Ray would always get in, the lead boat to take everybody out every day. So I had those 5 guys and this 18-year-old kid in the very back end of the Suburban,
wow.
Going to the ramps every morning.
Wow. All right. Now, what was the topic of discussion? Do you remember what these guys were talking about?
Well, the biggest topic of the discussion was, and for those of you that know a little bit about paper mills in the cities that paper mills are around, there's a very nasty stench.
Yeah, distinct smell.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
So every morning when we hit that layer of stench, Ray would always blame me in the back of the Suburban. All right, you need to quit that. I don't know what you ate last night. And that was the big every morning, And, but that honestly, Ray was always talking to Harold. Ray was always talking to Pooley and trying to do what did we do yesterday that didn't go smooth that we can improve on today. And, that the big, trying to get everybody in, trying to get, everything to run as smoothly as possible, to make it a show. Ray was a showman, and he wanted it to be a big show, and that was the topic every morning of what we didn't do good the day before. How can we make it a little bit more smoother? And Pooley was the one that actually, directed us, backed us down the boat ramps every morning, and his team. And, so Ray really was talking to Pooley about, how to get, which one of these drivers struggle a little bit, which one doesn't. And, we need to get him lined up here. And, it was a show. It really was.
How long of a drive was that? Do you remember?
Yeah, it was about 15 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. They, we left the convention center, and like I said, in the mornings now, we always had the police escort. And, they would run down, a few back roads and then hit the highway, and then we would hit a few more back roads, and then it was a boat ramp that was it's set in that Pine Bluff Harbor area, out toward the mouth of the river. And, it was one of those deals where it just took us a little time to get out there. And the conversation was always business.
Wow.
And then I had to pick Ray up, after everybody left. It was always, I carried them back as well to I didn't. He actually drove his own Suburban when he was in there. But I was, right there with him. Going back to the convention center after blast off every morning.
Yeah. Any fish talk? Did they talk about how the fishing was going? About who was leading after each day or anything like that? One of the things that I do remember him talking about with me personally was the fact that how Clunn was blowing the tournament away. And Clunn set the all-time winning weight at that event for a Bassmaster Classic. And, it was odd because, we had George Cochran, Larry Nixon, Ricky Green. We had some local sticks in the particular Classic that were only catching like 10, 11, 12 pounds a day. And Clunn's, toting in there 22, a 23, a 27. He loaded them up.
And, that was a big topic of how in the world is some of these other guys not doing as well as Clunn did.
Did Ray remember that 84 Classic with you being the driver and everything when you finally got to the point where you did become a professional and was actually fishing? Did he refer back to that story at all?
We talked about that. I made the Classic in 1997, and during our media day, he and I actually talked about that. And yes, he did. He remembered it, and the funny thing about it was he remembered the smell
from the paper mill.
He was like, "Oh yeah," he said, "that was that darn paper mill every morning." And I was like, "Yeah, and you blamed me for that every morning too."
Was he wearing the jacket?
He was wearing the jacket, had his little tassels coming down. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I just happened to Google it up because I was just wanting to look. So you Google up 1984 Bassmaster Classic, and what pulls up is a picture of like some of the most iconic pictures, probably, historically in bass fishing.
Yeah.
Rick standing on stage. This is probably back when Rick was probably still going by Ricky Clunn. He's standing next to probably the governor of Arkansas at the time, Bill Clinton, and possibly the president of the United States, and George Bush. Vice president, and Ray Scott. So, it was a pretty iconic picture there taken with, some pretty big hitters at the time. Did you get to see or talk to any of those guys?
No, I never did. When they shuttled Vice President Bush in there, security was extremely tight. They had him, it was almost like a big rock concert, and they bringing him back, from the little door to the side, on stage, and it was a big deal. And at the time, even Helen Sevier, she actually walked in there with him, but she was the only one that could even get close to Vice President Bush, except Ray and the other fishermen when he was on stage.
When was the last time that you talked to Ray?
Oh, man.
Been a while.
Gosh, Mark, that's a great question. It very easily could have been like the 2010 Classic. I don't honestly, I do remember.
Yeah. His health obviously is deteriorated and but man, just obviously an iconic person. Did you ever get the opportunity to fish on his lake?
I never did. I was hoping for that phone call. What was that? Eagles of something. Where he paired up a couple of pros with celebrities and all. And I never got that phone call.
Wow, it's a special place, man. It really is.
I have helped probably a half a dozen people build their lakes similar to Ray Scott's. He had a video of how he did all of that, and I bought it and studied it and all. And there were some friends of mine. I have them all up, 6 of them in the state of Arkansas here, that we tried to emulate exactly what Ray Scott did, because we wanted to grow these great big old fish.
Yeah, interesting. It had to be surreal the first time that you did make the Bassmaster Classic, having been a kid that was in that Suburban and doing everything that you did in the 84 Classic. But during that 84 Classic, as a fan and as an angler, was that probably the most impressive bass fishing event from a fishing standpoint that Clunn, the way he dominated, that you had ever seen and just fired you up to become a professional?
I had been a member of Bassmaster since 1977. I got my first, magazine when I was like 11 years old.
Yeah.
And read about them and kept up with them, with like the Nixons and the Browers, Mark Davis a little bit. I was just kind of getting started. And, I knew a little bit about it, and I had the same passion about bass fishing that I have right now. I've just eaten up with it. And to be, when my buddy called me, he goes, "Hey man, you want to be a part of this thing?" I was like, heck yeah. Well, I can promise you, when it was over with, I wanted to be on that stage. I didn't know how I was going to get there at that point in time in my life. but that particular week set the tone for, for me being on that stage with Ray Scott. And, luckily 13 years later, I was able to jump right up there beside him.
Yeah, that's really, really cool. So you didn't have to go get the guys donuts or coffee or anything like that?
No, hey man, they catered to. Now let me tell you something. There were plenty of people catering to Ray Scott. I can promise you. I mean,
anything he wanted, pretty much from a food standpoint, he got taken care of.
We probably ate the freshest biscuits every morning. I can promise you that.
Wow. That's just a great story. All right, I want to go to a couple of questions on the instant feedback. Let's see here. Dave wants to know, will you be running a Triton in 2021?
That's a good question. Right now, we're all kind of regrouping. The White River Marine Group is kind of regrouping, and that's whatever their plans are for me. Then it is what it is. So I'm kind of looking forward to it. I heard rumor that they had a new boat that they have been working with, a new hull, and a little faster, a little smoother. So if it gets any better than the current one that I'm in, I want to be in that boat for sure.
All right, very nice. Eric wants to know, do you have any advice for Dardanelle in August?
Woo! August. The thing about Dardanelle in August, most of the fish do school up. I mean, it's a river-type lake, but there are potentials of finding schools of fish offshore. That's where I would look for. Shell beds, things like that out there in the main river. And if you get really, really lucky, get a lot of rain in August, and the river's running real hard, then they'll be easy to pick off, because they'll all run to the banks and be watered up real nice like.
Isn't the frog bite pretty decent in August?
Yeah, it is, but it isn't. It's the thing about the frog bite in August on Dardanelle, it's kind of a one here, one there. It's never one of those places you just pull up and hit a magic stretch, so to speak. But that being said, you could hit the magic shell bed out there, offshore off one of them sandbars and hit the load. So, it's however your style of fishing wants to be. The shallow water guys will probably catch fish, but if I were guessing, it'll be one offshore if the river is, has normalcy to it, which who knows what that could be.
Especially with the rain. I mean, weather's a massive key because of the flow coming through there.
Yeah, all the rain out in y'all's area takes about 3 days to get to Dardanelle. So whatever y'all have out in Oklahoma, central Oklahoma, that takes a little while for it to get, our way.
All right, Mark in Minnesota wants to know, ask Steven how he enjoyed doing the MLF Overflow.
Yeah, well, the bad thing about it was that I knew how I finished, and it seemed like I've been that guy just out more than I've been the guy that's been just in on a lot of the cuts. But to kind of relive it, I really liked it because it gave me an opportunity to see what those other guys doing. You kind of know how they're doing or what they're doing, or how they're doing. You really don't know what they're doing. And to watch Cody and Jay Lee go out real quick like they did, it was interesting. The deal was, with you fishermen, one of the biggest things that I can tell you, when you get around guys that are very successful, especially in your area, don't try to overshadow them. And what I mean by that is kind of stroke their ego just a little bit, and they will give you bits and pieces that you can take and really help your fishing around your local areas, and if people will watch that overflow, they'll know that I'm stroking Cody and stroking Jay Lee just a little bit to get a little bit of info. I'm being serious.
Wow.
I mean, that's the deal.
That's a great question. All right, Zach in Virginia wants to know, How much of experience have you had on the Potomac River in late summer?
Back in the day, now late summer, we used to go to the Potomac River like in August and September when we used to do the fall time tournament, And I've had a lot of success that time of year. Most of the time was with a black and blue jig, find me a piece of wood or some type of square bill. And that's the two things that I always did was crank around on some of that grass, and if I could find me some isolated wood, lay downs and things of that nature, that's what I did. So that Potomac, like I said, we used to have the fall spring format when we had all the championships in the summertime. So I've had a little bit of experience on the Potomac, back in the day.
Was it good? I mean,
it was good.
Yeah.
I mean, I liked it because it was just, it was purity, good river fishing. I mean, you get the current moving just a little bit, find you a target, and the one thing that I learned about the Potomac River is, and you read this, and I talk about this a lot in articles, when I talk about making multiple presentations to a piece of cover. Back in those days, I mean, you find a laydown on that river that had about 2 to 3 feet of water on it, and I'm telling you, there's a bass on it. It may take you 10 casts, it may take you 20 casts. You may get lucky and catch it on the first cast, but that's where it all comes into play, is making multiple presentations to a piece of cover like that.
Yeah, I remember watching Skeet on the Potomac the last time that they were there, and that's what he was doing. He was targeting specific laydowns in this one area. And you're right. He may flip to this laydown 30 times, but he didn't give it up. That's exactly what he did. And eventually he would catch a fish on those laydowns. So really, really cool point. All right. Our good friend Matt from the Outdoor Scoreboard said he was your marshal on the Delaware River. And do you remember going through a long culvert that you barely fished your boat or barely fit your boat in?
I do remember that. And
what's the scoop on that?
That culvert was like, I'm telling you guys, it was like 6 lanes of traffic on both sides, a median and all that. And it was like a little bitty light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak. And, one day I was just like, I was running out of things to do, and I was like, we're going through there. And off we went, and I'm like, oh, wow. When we got through it, it was, you thought it was going to be the glory hole of all glory holes, but it wasn't.
It didn't turn out that way, huh?
No. And the other deal was, and he'll probably remember this, that tide falls like 6 feet. And I'd never been through that deal, and I didn't give it a lot of time. I didn't explore, so to speak. And it was a very, very small window to get in and get out.
Interesting. Can you remember off the top of your head, what's the longest run that you've ever made in a tournament, Stephen?
Oh, wow.
The run to Venice, maybe?
No, no, I never did that big run to Venice. When we fished at the Mississippi River out of Memphis, we all ran down to Tunica. There was a bunch that ran down to Tunica, and you had to tote you a little bit of gas. Back in the days, you could actually, dudes, guys would have like 8 or 10 gas cans strapped on the back of the boats.
Wow.
Making these big. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And that's probably the Mississippi River out of Memphis was probably the longest one. About an hour and a half ride one way.
How many miles? How many miles do you think that was?
I'm gonna say where I was fishing was about 90.
Wow.
And I think that, like back in the days, those boats had like 36-gallon tanks.
Yeah.
You watched your needle, go towards empty. As you were going, but that's probably the longest that I've ever been one way.
I've heard stories of guys, and I don't know if this was legal or illegal or whatever it was, but back in the day, they would actually put gas cans in strategically placed areas on the bank, and then that's where they would refuel at.
You know, that goes back to the Arkansas River back in 90. Gosh, let me think. 95, I believe, Mark. And there were guys going up Little Balmedo, way up Balmedo, off the Arkansas, and they would actually have gas cans. They would have to put them out every evening, or go refill them and put them back out because they were running that far. And then they would fill up with gas, before they came back. And then when you got back, they had to go back and get their cans, go fill them up, and go stash them again. And yeah,
that makes for a long night right there.
That's a long night. Jeez.
Tell me, the good old days when there were only just about 10 rules,
Yeah, 10 rules.
Not anymore. All right, Alex in Alabama wants to know, what are your thoughts about swim baits and glide baits?
Ooh, if my son was here, I would just scoot over and let him do all the talking, because I have some, Alex, but I'm not real big on those just yet. I just maybe that's what I need to be practicing with right now, because it during this off time, that may be another technique that I need to get a little bit more better at.
Huh. So he's into that. He's like dialed in.
He's into all that. I caught some fish yesterday on a drop shot, and I was proud of myself, to be honest with you. And but he's into all the finesse stuff, that glide baits, the big. He's got like a $400 swim bait out there, and I'm like, oh my gosh, man.
That sounds like Matt.
It does.
Matt's the same way.
Yep.
Yeah. Hey, you need to let him know. We had Byron Velvick on the show yesterday. He's selling all of his swim baits on eBay.
Oh, wow.
So let him know that.
I'll do that.
If he's into that. He said, yeah, Byron's selling everything. So
wow.
It's his eBay site was Byron's Bunker, all one word.
No kidding.
Yeah. So
I'll have to get him on there. And I'm not putting people, old people, whatever you want to call it, people getting out of the sport, so to speak. I ran into Doug Garrett the other day.
Really?
And I hadn't seen him since he walked away from the sport in 2008. I have not laid eyes on him, and he said he had not picked up a rod since 2008. And he just started to get back into fishing just a little bit.
Wow. Well, I don't know if you heard, we're going to have Kevin Worth on next week. And Kevin is kind of dabbling in it a little bit, fishing a little bit, and thinking about getting back into it.
Well, it's, Worth, the funny thing about it was, Worth was the one, you hear about guys winning practice. He was the one that won more practices than anybody in the history of fishing, no doubt.
Yeah, I remember that. That is definitely a characteristic about him. All right, Patrick in Indiana wants to know, when you're using a crankbait rod, what is better, glass, graphite, or composite? What are your thoughts?
That's a good question. I like, honestly, if I'm fishing where I'm target casting and making short cast, I like using just a fiberglass rod, one like a Mojo, St. Croix Mojo glass, or even the Legend glass rods. That's only if I'm fishing, close. I just that's what works best. If I'm making long cast, big bombs, with bigger crankbaits and trying to cover a lot of water, I use a composite rod. And that's just all that does is just give me a little bit more feel of that crankbait when it's way out there. And so that's what has worked for me for a long time, and that's what I've been doing.
All right, very nice. Dave wants to know, what are your thoughts on heavy hitters?
All I have to say about heavy hitters is that there's going to be a lot of money to catch a big fish, and I think that you're going to see a lot of guys. Probably not a lot of fish going to be caught. Could be. I don't know. I don't know much about that chain during the summertime, and it could be a lot of fish caught. I don't know. The best thing about it, the weather will be stable, and they're going to be where they're going to be. But there's going to be some, hopefully, real excitement of a guy that catches a big one, thinks he's got that 25 or 50 or $75,000, big bass deal wrapped up, then somebody knock him right on out. And there's going to be some heartbreaks in that one, I can promise you.
All right, Alex wants to know, what is your flipping rod, reel, and line setup when you're flipping heavy cover?
Lose Super Duty, 8-3-1, gamma fluorocarbon or braid. If I'm flipping fluorocarbon, I'm throwing 20, 25 pound. If I'm flipping braid, it's either 50 or 65 gamma torque. St. Croix 711, heavy moderate, Legend X.
All right, there you have it. Did you ever use a pistol grip back in the day, Steven?
Oh, heck yeah. Yeah, that's Marlon Perkins days. Man.
Oh, yeah. Do you still have them? Do you still have a pistol grip sitting around there somewhere?
I may have one. I think I have an old St. Croix Premier pistol grip, I believe, around here someplace, but I'd have to dig it out.
All right.
When I think of Browning, I think of river, like Dardanelle, Arkansas River type stuff, Red River stuff. And I think of cranking, dude. Like if you had one crankbait, like on that style of river, an Arkansas style river or the Red River, summertime cranking. I'm not talking about like, offshore TVA stuff. I'm talking, the mud, like where you come from. What's your favorite go-to type bait there?
It would definitely, it would either be something, it would be a square bill. I mean, just like a 1.5 style square bill chartreuse, kind of a faded chartreuse black back.
Are you a big balsa guy?
I was at one time, but it's so hard to go through the balsa baits and find one that just outperforms the other. There's balsa was the same way that the plastic baits are now. I mean, there's always, you buy 5, there's one that's going to catch them better.
Yep.
And it's just so hard, and they've gotten to be so expensive that you can go out and get you a good regular plastic style square bill that works. I don't know that you could say that they work as effectively, but they do work. I keep about maybe 6 balsa baits in my box, and every one of them are 20, 25 years old.
Yeah. If you're like me, the wood, like if you're pitching on wood and stuff, you tend to lean more towards the balsa sometimes at that point as opposed to wrap rock, more the plastic bait.
What's funny? I tend to do the balsa stuff more in the fall. Don't ask me why.
Okay.
It's just, just one of those deals that I utilize it a lot during the fall. And it's more cranking around creek channels with stumps or creek channels with some laydowns and stuff on.
Yep.
Ditches, I guess you might, it's more ditches, get way on back up in a creek and, where the ditch is. And there'll be some stumps out there on the ditch, and I don't know. That's just what I've always done.
Steven, when you look back at, say, the 50-year history of bass fishing, why do you think there have been so many great anglers over that period of time come from the state of Arkansas?
Honestly, I think the diversity that we have. I mean, you look at things like the Arkansas River. You guys know the Arkansas River enough to know that it changes so drastically every year, every month, that. Then we have Ouachita, we have Lake de Grace, some of the lakes that had really, really good healthy grass in them. So that technique, a grass fishing technique works. It's just that there's so much diversity in the state of Arkansas that I honestly feel like, guys, you could go out and fish something totally different for a month. And, and I think that's always helped. That's one of the reasons that I grew up down there on the Delta and, on the lower Arkansas River fishing, early in my years. And I moved over to Hot Springs where I currently live, just where I could be over here on these clear water lakes and get experience doing that. And, that's what kind of has helped me And if you notice, a guy from Arkansas, I mean, he can catch them just about everywhere we go. There's going to be somebody that'll have that Arkansas tag on the end of their name, up there in the top 10, up there in the top 20 in every tournament.
Hey, Dave's got a great question on the instant feedback. What was the name of that show that was either on the Discovery Channel or ESPN that you won?
That was the the Wild Rules. It was a kind of a reality survival type deal.
Yeah.
Back in the early 2000s.
They stuck you on the Mississippi River or something, didn't they?
Yeah, well, I did a trip for National Geographic.
That's what I'm thinking of, yeah.
The entire Mississippi River, like where it boils out of the ground, and all the way to to where below Venice there.
Wow. How cool was that?
It was cool, Mark. The deal was that particular, when we got to St. Louis, the floodwaters came, and it was.
I remember that. Yeah.
It was eventful, but it wasn't kind of enjoyable. It wasn't like, we're going on a scenic cruise. I mean, like pucker up factor. There's a lot of pucker factors on that trip. Yeah. It got into more survival, than it was touring, so to speak.
Yeah. All right, man. Very cool. Steven, can't thank you enough for taking time out and sharing that story with us. It's pretty amazing that was, over 30 years ago, man. 36 years ago.
Talking about it, and we were like, man, that's like 35, 36, 7 years. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's been a long time.
Yeah.
A long time.
All right, great stuff. I know you guys are anxious to finally get back to fishing, and wish you nothing but the best for the remainder of the season, man. Great to talk to you. Love having you on the show, man.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity, Mark. Bradley, good to hear from you too, man.
You too, Stephen. Good
All
luck.
right, take care, Stephen.
All right,
there you have it, Stephen Browning. Very, very cool stuff, man. 18-year-old, you're driving a Bass. Back then it was a Chevy S10, and you wreck the thing. Just get
T-boned.
Just get T-boned by somebody, man. He talks about a puckering moment.
Yeah.
18-year-old, yeah.
I remember the Mississippi River deal that he did with Nat Geo. That's what that was, and they started up at the headwaters, like what he was talking about. And I remember that flood.
Yeah.
That was like one of the really, really bad years that the Mississippi just came over the banks.
Yeah.
And he was out there trying to film the show going down it.
Yeah. Cool stuff, though. All right, we're going to take a break and hopefully come back with the winner.
Yeah.
Correct?
We got the winner.
All right, everybody, stay tuned. The announcement coming up.
Let's face it, fishing electronics are no longer an afterthought. They've become a necessity. And at the Bass Tank, our experts match you with the right electronics, provide professional installation, and educate you to help maximize your catching results while providing support along the way. Because let's be honest, it's about catching, not just fishing. And when you're ready for better results, join the Bass Tank team. Visit us today on Facebook or go to thebasstank.com.
Blue Water by TH Marine, offering LED lighting solutions for your boat, trailer, truck, ATV, and so much more. Engineered and built to be rugged with waterproof and submersible options. Designed for easy installation, Blue Water is available in a variety of colors and styles. All backed by a limited lifetime warranty. Blue Water by TH Marine.
The name SPRO says it all. SPRO stands for Sports Professionals. When you look at the pro staff that SPRO has brought on board over the past 15 years, it's been pretty incredible. I mean, one got it just then. From the development of the rock crawler to the McStick, from the Fat Papa to the Little John series, when you tie a SPRO bait on, you know it's been designed by a professional to get the job done.
As a professional angler, you've got so many things on your mind. Any advantage that we have is key. And not only rods and reels and lines and baits, but in our clothes. And the guys at AFCO, they have something for every situation. There's nothing AFCO hasn't thought about with the fishermen in mind. It's designed for fishermen, by fishermen, for every scenario you can come to. Any fish, any water, any condition, AFCO has you covered.
All of us on the Pro Tournament Trail use Gamakatsu hooks. Why? Because they are absolutely the best.
It's not about how many bites you get.
It's how many you put in the boat.
Gamakatsu makes hooks for every fishing style.
We didn't come this far to lose fish.
Did you?
For more information, visit gamakatsu.com.
The Big Bite Baits Kamikaze Swim-On is a very unique bait, and it's got a full body, but with ribs to give it a bigger profile, but not more plastic. It's got a jointed tail that gives it a lot of action, as well as this up and down crawl type trail with holes and ribs in it, so it creates a bubble trail almost. This bait is supposed to be fished upside down or vertical like this on a great for a chatterbait. I prefer it on a swim jig as well, but you can also cut it down and put it on the back of a finesse jig. You know, flip it around for some spotted bass or flipping docks. Anytime you want a small, compact, little trailer for it, this is great for it. So check out the full lineup of swim-ons at bigbitebaits.com.
All right, we are back on a Thursday, closing out the week with our good friend Bradley Hallman in studio. And it is that time to announce the winner, Bradley.
Yes. Well, along with this contest, we had so many entries and so many great names. I wanted to just highlight some of the ones that were runners-ups, ones that we talked about. Panger and I basically got it down to 5 names, and then Big Bite had a little say-so in this also, just with some of the colors of how a bait is built and what colors were possible and not possible. But for me, it was always about the name more than the actual color of the bait. One was the 405, which is our area code here in central Oklahoma. Yeah. We had one called Bipolar, which was really, really good.
I like that.
And, of course, we had the Screaming Jeffries.
Oh, like that one even better.
Coast to Coast.
I like that.
That was one of our finalists in the top 5.
Yeah.
Watercolor was a great name.
Like Whataburger?
Yep. And the color was really cool, too. What happened with Watercolor was Watercolor was a direct injection through the center with like a black hue, and it became, with some talk, some people at Big Bite, it was going to be quite a bit more expensive to build a mold to be able to do that type of color. So
that's creative, though.
It was very, very creative.
Yeah.
Copperhead Road, that was one Panger liked a lot.
That's cool. Road. That's a cool name.
Stud Finder, Tuesday Nighter, and one of my favorites was golly, I didn't write it down and I've gone blank. The Bank Beater. And that was probably one of my favorite names.
That's because that's what you are, man.
Yeah. Well, it's a great name for the bait, because that's what the bait is a bank beater. So those were some of the names. We ended up settling. We had the top 5, and the one that ended up coming in had an Oklahoma tone to it. A guy named Josh Howard from Arkansas actually sent it in.
Yeah.
But the name of the winning color is Bedlam. It is a black bait with red and orange flake. So Bedlam, for you guys that live out of state, Bedlam is what the state of Oklahoma calls our in-state rivalry between the University of Oklahoma and Oklahoma State. So anytime they play, whether it be football, basketball, baseball, it's always considered and talked about as Bedlam. So that's a bait with both colors, one on each side.
Yeah, great color combination too. I mean, you can use that in any condition, really.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, so I like it a lot. The combination of red and orange, I can't wait to see it. All right, now how quick do you think we're going to be able to have to wait to be able to see it?
So that's the thing. We are really, really close. So we were done with we got the last prototype a week or so ago.
Yeah.
We released it. They're actually working on the mold. So we are literally weeks away from that bait being manufactured, produced, and
All right. We actually have the man that came up with the color combination and the name on the Sunline hotline.
That's awesome.
So you ready to talk to him?
I am. He was excited this morning. I know he's fired up.
All right, let's bring him in. Josh, you there, man?
Yeah, I'm here. Y'all got me?
We got you, man. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So what's the story behind Bedlam?
Well, I mean, like you said, I'm from Arkansas, Northwest Arkansas, so I'm actually a hog fan, not to hurt Bradley and Panger's feelings, but I'm a Razorback fan. But I just started brainstorming some ideas and some names, everything from, Oklahoma Flare to bowling to sweater vest or whatever it may be. And when I wrote down Bedlam, I knew it. That's the one, and because I thought it kind of fit the mentality. When I'm flipping or something, it's kind of nasty. It's dirty, and it just fit the mindset to me. And I was thinking how to incorporate each color and dark bait. It just all kind of came together.
Brad, he's right. When you're flipping in a lot of structure that you're flipping, it does turn into Bedlam.
Yep, definitely. Dirty and gritty, like you said. And it had that Oklahoma flair to it, and that had a lot to do with why we chose that as well.
Yeah.
And the color just really went well with the bait. It's something that we'll be able to flip. It's going to be a good-looking stained water bait for sure. I know that out of this contest, we made a video of it. I'm going to have it on my YouTube channel, either post it today or tomorrow. It'll be up on how we actually did this selection. And Panger and I started the selection just by sitting down and splitting these papers right here in my hand up half and half, and we went through and then we changed. It was a 3 or 4 hour long process. And for you to come out on top with Bedlam dude, congratulations, because there were so many good ones in here that were just great names. And I know it was a big deal. I know I emailed you last night. I got in a panic because I knew that we were going to do the announcement today.
Yeah.
And I was looking across the sheet and I just had your email address. Like, I didn't even have your name. So no phone number, no nothing, just email. And I'm like, how are we going to announce the winner if all we have is his email address?
Yeah.
And so last night late, I started typing and I sent you that email, and I appreciate you responding to me this morning early and got right back to me. But really appreciate you coming on, and thank you and everyone that entered in the contest. Great. As always, BTL fans are the best.
They are. So great job, Josh.
There will be someone in contact with you.
Guys.
Josh, there will be somebody in contact with you for sure. It's got a 500 bait reward for this prize here. And also, I know that some folks at Big Bite had mentioned we're going to do some consolation prizes for a couple of the runners up too.
Oh, very cool.
Yep. So that's coming also. And watch my YouTube channel. You can see all the this all go down with the selection.
All right. Did he come up with the sweater vest one? Was he the guy that came up with the sweater vest? Josh, did you come up with that?
No.
Okay.
No.
That's hilarious.
I submitted, I don't know, 6 or 8 different colors, but no, I didn't have the sweater vest one.
That's hilarious. All right, man. Congratulations, and look forward to getting those baits.
All right. I appreciate you guys.
All right, man. Thanks for being a fan of BTL.
Yep. Thank you.
All right. See you. All right. There you have it. And cool names, man.
Man, it was a lot of fun to go through those names, and so many. It was hard to get it down to narrow down to 10, more or less one.
All right. So once again, greatly appreciate all the participation in that contest, and look for that bait very, very soon. All right. The next thing I want to do, folks, I have been talking about this. We are so grateful for all the BTL fans out there, and with the help of Strike King, Lose, B&W Hitch, and Wiley X, we are going to give away some massive prize packs. And the way that I broke this down is I'm trying to reward or give back to the main kind of areas that people watch BTL, Bradley. All right? So we're going to have stuff for the people that listen to us on iTunes.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to have stuff for people that watch the live show and get involved on the instant feedback. We're going to have stuff for people that watch us on YouTube and subscribe to us on YouTube. So here's the format of how this thing is going to work. And I'm actually going to play a short video once I tell you how this whole thing is going to go down. On May 28th, Matt and I will be in studio, and we will take part in what we are calling the Apex Bass Games. All right? That's what it's called. And it's powered by highlights that we have obtained from Major League Fishing. The way that it's going to work is you're going to go to the Bass Zone, and this link will be out there this afternoon. You click on the link, and you can actually enter. It doesn't cost anything to enter. All right? You just put some information in. Then we are going to randomly select 3 people from iTunes that review us on iTunes. Mm-hmm. If you've done a review, you're going to be included. If you haven't done a review on iTunes, do a review on iTunes for us, and you're going to be eligible for the prize packs that we're going to give away. All right? There's 10 of them.
Wow.
All right? These prize packs are valued at $300. So that's $3,000 right there that we're giving away with that. All right? Do a review on iTunes and enter into the possibility of being one of the 2 people selected to take place in the Apex Bass Games. All right. That covers the iTunes, guys. All right. For the people that watch us live and interact on the instant feedback, once again, go to the Bass Zone, click on the link there. It'll be a big banner. Enter the Apex Bass Games, and if you enter and participate on the instant feedback, you're going to be eligible for one of those $300 gift packs. The other thing is 3 more to people that have subscribed to us on YouTube.
Very nice.
And enter. All right. So that's 9. That's a total of 9. Mm-hmm. And then we have one extra $300 pack that we're going to give to somebody just randomly.
Very
all
nice.
right.
Very nice.
So 3 on iTunes, 3 on the live show, and 3 on YouTube. That's really how they watch us.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm trying to take care of everybody. We split it up. 3 people is going to get. They're going to get this prize pack. If you enter and if you do what is required on that. All right. Now, from all the people that enter, no matter how you watch us, you go to the Bass Zone, you click on the link, and you enter. Even if you don't do any of those 3 things, you still have an opportunity to be one of the 2 people chosen for the Apex Bass Games. All right? And these 2 people, they're going to go head-to-head, and here's how it's going to work. I'm going to show the video here just in a few seconds. The Apex, it's kind of like a pyramid, right?
Yep.
So we're going to have 10 anglers on this pyramid, of which you are going to be live via Zoom. Now, in order to be one of the 2 people selected, you have to have the capabilities of being on a Zoom video. All right? You can still enter, okay? Even if you don't have those characteristics either on your phone, your iPad, or your computer or laptop, you can still enter. All right? If you can't be on the show because you don't have Zoom characteristics or have that equipment available, we're still going to give you a prize pack.
Awesome.
Makes sense?
Yep.
All right. So even if you can't participate because you don't have access to Zoom, we're still going to give you a prize pack if you are one of the 2 people selected. But as you enter, one of the questions that you have to respond to is, do you have Zoom capabilities? All right. So if you do have Zoom capabilities and you're one of the 2 people selected, actually 2 people selected, then you are going to take place in this contest live, of which we will flip a coin, and then whoever wins the coin flip has the option to go first, to select from the Apex period, or go second. Then what you do is you pick one of the anglers on the pyramid. All right, let's say you pick Brent Chapman. Then we queue up a highlight supplied to us from Major League Fishing, of which Brent Chapman either catches a fish or misses.
Yep.
With no catch.
May or
all right?
not.
So you get to select, you alternate, and then the player that has the most weight after we go through all of the anglers on the Apex pyramid, they're gonna win the prize pack, and I think it's valued. You get a rod and reel from Lew's that's valued at $600. You get a $300 or Noah, is that right? $300 or $400 prize pack from Strike King. You get a B&W hitch.
Wow.
You get a pair of Wiley X sunglasses. I think the thing is valued at almost $1,500.
Very, very nice.
All right, now the runner-up, guess what? You still get a rod and reel combo valued at like $400. You get $300 worth of Strike King stuff. You, too, get a pair of Wiley X sunglasses, and we kind of have some fun with this. So that's kind of how it works. I don't mean to confuse anybody, but it was my creative way to create a contest that nobody has done before. Can you recall anybody doing this?
No, this is what's behind curtain number 3.
Exactly.
Yep.
I mean, is there luck? Yeah, you know what? But you know what? We wanted to give back to the fans, and we wanted to come up with a creative way to do it. This is what I came up with. All right, so here, I'm going to cue up this video.
Yeah, roll it.
And it will kind of give you an idea of what I'm talking about. All right, here we go. There you have it. Shaw Grigsby, Andy Montgomery, Skeet Reese, Aaron Martins, Mike McClellan, Brent Ayler, Ish Monroe, Bobby Lane, Ott Defoe, and Brent Chapman. Those are the players. So what are your thoughts on the players there, TJ?
All-stars. How can you go wrong? Wish you could choose all of them, right?
Well, you know, they don't catch fish all the time, dude.
Oh, come on.
They don't catch fish all the time. You know, somebody's got to win, somebody's got to lose. Matt tells me all the time that I just dwell on the negative. But I will say that, yes, there are guys out there on that board that do not catch fish. So, who are you going to start things off with?
We're going to go with Brent Ayler.
You're going to kick things off with Brent Ayler. All right. So what I got to do is I've got to get it queued up here.
There's one. That's a good one. Oh, man, that's a giant one. Golly, that's a giant fish. Giant one. Golly, I knew that was a big one, man. I got to get down here. He's barely hooked now. He's barely hooked now. Barely hooked. Barely hooked. God, that's a big one. Stay on, fish. Stay on, fish, man. That BDS3 just flat out catches big one. Stay on. Yes! 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 Oh, my BDS3! Look at that, he's got it! I knew that was a good bank. I knew that was a good bait. I mean, I flat out had everything right on that. Look how big that fish is, man. That's a tank. That is a tank right there. And he dropped slack in my line, man. I knew instantly I had a big one. Oh man, ready?
I'm ready.
Dude, that's a 5-pounder. 5.5 pounder, it's gotta be. Look how belly on that thing.
5 pounds, 6 ounces.
5, 6, look at that one. Dude, that was awesome. Dude, I knew it. I knew that was the spot, man. That's the deal right there, 100%. If I could run that stuff all day, know where it's at, dude, I'll smash them.
All right, there you have it, folks. All right, there you have it. That's kind of a sample, and I want to say thank you to TJ, a good fan out there, for helping us out with that little demo of what's going to go down. So you got the pyramid, you got the Apex pyramid with the players on there. You pick a player, whatever his catch is, that becomes your total weight. The guy with the total weight at the end of the Apex games is your grand prize winner. There you have it.
It looked like a lot of fun, and I even said if you lose the big one at the boat,
yeah, you get 0.
0.
You get 0. All right, so there you have it, folks. My creative way of coming up with something to give back to the fans. And you know me, I'm always thinking, man. I'm always thinking of stuff that we can do. Especially, I wanted to come up with a creative way to give back to the people that really make this thing happen. And the good people at Strike King Lose, Wiley X, and B&W Hitch are making it happen. So there you have it. I think the total value well over $5,000. in what we're giving away.
That's incredible, man.
I don't think there's any other podcast or live studio show that's doing that.
No, I agree.
With the support of these fine companies. And
it looks like a lot of fun, man. It really does.
So enter it. The link will be up on the Bass Zone later this afternoon. All you got to do is enter it. Yes, you do need to have Zoom capabilities to be one of those 2 people, but you do not to be able to win one of the 10 prizes that we're going to give away that are valued at $300 each, which include a Strike King gift card for $100 and a Lose Rod and Reel combo valued at $200.
A little bit for everybody.
Yeah, so I'm trying to take care of everybody there. So hopefully we'll have some fun with it. That will go down on Thursday, May 28th. So you got a little while to get your entry in and be eligible to participate in the Apex Bass Games. So that's it, Bradley. What do you got on the table, man?
I'm still amazed at the picture with Bill Clinton and Bush and everybody all on one stage. Pretty awesome. Man, we're all about to get started. I've got some of my guys from Texas coming up. We're going to do one more little shootout, Red River Shootout. I believe they're coming from Texas to Oklahoma. So we're going to give them a little dose of that. We may take them out to Lake X.
Really?
Really. Yep.
Oh, they're going to have fun there, man.
Yep. It's going to be a fun shootout.
All right, great week this week, folks. If you didn't catch any of the shows, make sure you go back. And once again, the link will be posted on BassZone.com to enter the Apex Bass Games and be eligible for those great prizes that we're going to give away. All right, that's going to wrap things up next week. 4 shows next week. Roy Hawk on Monday, Kevin Work Tuesday, Edwin Evers on Wednesday, and Davey Height on Thursday. Bradley, thanks for sitting in for Matt. Man, we love having you on the show. Really, really good stuff. I know the fans like it too. So that's going to wrap up the week. Folks, we are out of here.